global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Global Happenings Today YouTube channel. Finally, the PDP have decided to respond to Wike's outburst. Remember, just a few days back, in fact, during the weekend, Fubara had to speak concerning what Wike said about the fact that he would teach them politics and how to play it well. The Governors Forum have decided to break their silence, and this is what they got to say. But don't forget also that Wike is one man that is known to work even best in pressure. He has been known to work best in his pressure. But let's find out what he's got to say and how Wike will react to this newest and latest move by PDP, especially the Governors Forum. Before we go into the newspaper, please subscribe to our channel. Now, according to the news, governors of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, under the aegis of PDP Governors Forum, PDP GF, have said the party is not one man's enterprise. It added that regardless of the computations for people's appointment by a person or group of persons, the party faithful remains trustworthy, and the leadership from party leaders based on the spirit of reconciliation, discipline, and truth. The forum stated this while responding to a comment by Samuel Wanosike, a member of the PDP in Rivers State and former chairman of Ikoyi Local Government Council. And he stated that Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed wants to contest the presidency in 2027 with Rivers State Governor Similalai Fubara as his running mate. The Bauchi State Governor is the chairman of the PDP's Governors Forum, while Wanosike is a loyalist of the Federal Capital Territory of City Minister Nyesom Wike. Now, recall that Wike had threatened to cause a political crisis in the state of PDP governors who seek to support Fubara to take full control of PDP structure in Rivers. Wike had singled out Governor Mohammed over his support for Fubara. Reacting to Wanosike's comment, however, the Director General of the PDP Governors Forum, Dr. Emmanuel Agbo, said the Governor Mohammed is focused on upholding the forum's watchword of unity and ensuring it is an effective organ of the party. Agbo in a statement said Governor Mohammed, the forum is at liberty to advise all PDP members that as long as the PDP is not one man's enterprise, no matter the commutations for public appointment by a person or group of persons, the common good of our people in the spirit of reconciliation, discipline, and truth shall remain the only anchor of the trustworthy leadership our party faithful expect from us. Governor Bala Mohammed will not belong to any clique or caste of dramatists who would flagrantly plot day by day to thwart the powers of a governor to serve his people, his state, and of course his nation, contemptuously bend the constitution to propagate their self-ambition above impactful development the people deserve. He has lived by the principle of live and let live, and by his position in life will always engage reason and reconciliation rather than burn down a city to ashes just to thrust down the people's truth, what has been described as seclusive agreement of questionable concerns. The forum under his leadership will be convergent rather than divergent. It is an oath he swore to and will always keep to enhance the visions of the party's founding fathers, making better what we inherited. It is our turn to make our sacrifices, sincerely creating room for growth and fresh ideas, not heating up the polity, bloating in imaginable drones, and or dramatizing in gaps of an emperor. The statement added that while Nigerian politics is highly competitive and often marked by intense rivalries, it should not be self-driven transactional patriotism. Now, the forum said PDP is now an opposition known for its centralist policies and advocacy for social justice and economic development. Having provided an umbrella for us all, it is beholden of us to allow others breathe and grow in this line of public service without burning down the party to ashes to achieve personal gains of staying in power forever. Many party men and women have benefited from, transformed into mentors, and have been celebrated as statesmen, creating a tradition of values which must be respected. Based on this principle, Governor Mohammed owes no word of apology and will join no issues with political jobbers whose callous insensitivities and arrogance could only bury the future of their constituencies and the country at large if not checked. Looking at our exalted statesmen, their influences on national politics were driven by communality, not self-centered drifting. Inclusivity in any political party, as well as the PDP, where we admit we belong, has always been powered by reconciliation and discipline, not chauvinism. Agbo said the watchword of the Governors Forum has been the unity of its members, with its focus of playing party politics in a multi-party system anchored on delivering dividends of democracy via good governance to the governed with integrity on either side at all times against the vagaries of abuse of power. In this light, Governor Mohammed personally sees politics as a call to service, not a profession, having humbly grown with the mindset that by tomorrow we shall leave the spaces and positions we see ourselves occupying now, mindful of accountability to our Creator and the state. As such, the permutations of Samuel Wanosike in a daylight broadcast on television is only precariously balanced, since he chose to be a back dog for his employer, more so as he is pained by the aspiration of I think that again, please. It's a muscle that he is pained by the aspiration of a 3-year term in office without an extension, as earlier promised by his sculptors. These are the words of the Director General of the PDP's Governors Forum. Literally, don't forget that some few days back, Wanosike was really angry. He went on television broadcast and literally told anyone who cared to listen that the reason why Bala Mohammed said to chook his mouth, quote and unquote, into Rivers politics is because he wanted the monies that came from Rivers coffers via Fubara. That's why he's supporting Fubara, via Fubara, because he had the intention of running for presidency come 2027, and he wanted Fubara to deputize him. Of course, nobody gave him any answer to that and all. Don't also forget that some few days back, it was a case of Wike himself saying that he does not have any work really. Even the last of us, Abuja, mentioned it, and Wike literally emphasized it, that his job is to do politics, and he knows how to do this politics, and you teach them how to run this politics. While Bala Mohammed says to him, politics is not a job, it's not even a profession. It's a call to service, and he believes that one day after service to humanity, service to God, one day after service, he will be leaving the podium for others also to be called for that same service. So hence, it's not a profession for him, and he can't be joining issues. My colleague is in the house. What's really your take? Do you think that what Wanosike, according to what he's saying, that is the back dog of his employer, do you think Wanosike did what he mentioned, that Bala Mohammed truly wants to run for presidency come 2027 using Fubara? Or do you think it's just a case of propaganda just to get bad weather for Bala Mohammed, so that people don't get to see his true works of trying to unite the party and ensure that the party stands united?
Well, I think Bala Mohammed have a dual function somehow. And his function is to be, number one, governor of Bauchi State, and also to work as the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum. And being a PDP Governors Forum, for it to disintegrate in your hand, it points to one direction, that you have failed. You understand? Mm. So, be that as it may, it's also important for us to reflect back on some of the things that Bala Mohammed had said. He had opened up that in event of Jonathan not running for presidency come 2027 under the platform of PDP, that he will also run. He had already opened up to tell Nigerians that he will run for presidency. And we all know that presidency is not exclusively for one person. Everyone have the right, to declare their intention if they want to run. But saying that Bala Mohammed, he will be leaning on the finances of Rivers State via Fubara is one thing that nobody can tell, because I don't think that Fubara is that free-handed person when it comes to, extending financial abilities of his state to other states. He's a very prudent man, and all what he's been saying is to deliver dividend of democracy to the people of the state. He has never made mention of the fact that he will reach out. Thus far, despite the fact that there is flood in in like 2 or 3 states in the northern part of the country. He has not bothered to go there to give them any funds. But we know that Wike during his time was like, giving out the River State money to everybody that case to come to him to ask for funds. So that alone, I don't think that is true. You understand? Then on the part of Wike and Fubara being being a backdoor, it's very glaring. One of the things that Wike does not want to accept is that at one time in one's life, you have to retire. You have to be an elder statesman. And that's why we are not castigating him, but we're only trying to be very objective. That at the end of the day, when you retire and sit at the, fans' arena to watch what is going on in the political arena, let it be not that people will say that the person who has made politics in Nigeria so worst is this person, and you'll be there watching them. How would you feel at the end of the day? There are some people who were in the military up till today, they cannot be invited into presidency, into Aso Rock. Why? There was something very terrible that they did that Nigerians were not happy about them. You understand? People can go visit them in their house. I feel you know who I'm talking about. People can visit them in their house. But for one day, I've never heard any president come on board and said he's inviting that particular person to come to Aso Rock. Why? Because they can still reflect back that the start of democracy in 1993 was aborted by him. You understand? So there's no way they can welcome him. Today it's difficult for him to say something in the print and he's being taken serious. Now, that's the same thing that will happen to some politicians. After they had retired and they are now elder statesmen, they may not be allowed to talk reasonably about the government of the day. Why? Because the antecedent that they have left behind was not a good one. It has ended up messing up and eroding the principle of democracy in Nigeria.
Let me just ask you one last question. I will wrap this up. Something a very dark man said fairly recently. A very dark man said he woke up and discovered that in Abuja, where he lives, he discovered the roads are he didn't believe it. The transformation is awesome. He said, yes, he knows that politicians are thieves, but if you want to be doing like a tiffy politician, at least be like Wike. They say he's not saying that Wike is a thief, but at least show workings. If you are going to be doing any tiffin, quote and unquote, show workings. Now, what is he literally trying to say is that Wike is a project man.
Yes.
He works. Now, would you rather, in all sincerity and objectivity, say that Wike was really totally not, if you go through history, you will say Wike changed the politics of Nigeria in a bad light?
No, Wike is one man that whenever you're talking about someone who is, number one, aggressive, someone who is result-oriented, someone who is, up to the task, you mentioned Wike. Wike, if you bring him in any area, Wike would deliver as at the time you want him to deliver, especially if you give him more. That's number one thing. If you give him free hands to operate, give him the required funds he needs to work, Wike will deliver. That one is undisputed. That's one truth that is inevitable. You can't say Wike is not a performer. Wike is a super performer. When you talk about project, when you talk about especially infrastructure, I don't know about human empowerment. You understand? A lot of people have come out to say it, but I can still remember that there were people legitimately employed to work for Rivers State for 8 whole years. They did not enjoy any level of promotion. So I don't know about that area. But when you talk about infrastructure, a man who will give you the latest infrastructure, see to it that those projects are being, achieved. Those projects come to realization. There is no story whenever he's around. His own is that, give me the money, immediately you give me the money, timeline, give me the timeline, I will deliver on the timeline. But beyond that, there's also that thing called beyond that. There are some other high level of high-handedness. Come on, if you want to talk about Buhari has his own good part too. Yes. Buhari is one person that gave Nigerians that free media freedom to say whatever you want to. He won't come after you. That's number one. Buhari was one of the people that did one or two things. Though
when it comes to petrol,
you understand? At least petrol, there was no queue. You understand? And for the 8 years, he did so well in that area. So you cannot totally mark him zero. You understand? But in other areas, for example, fighting insecurity, we saw that insecurity came back. Okay, he was able to deal with Boko Haram somehow, but the issue of Fulani headmen was so serious in Nigeria. You understand? So that's the same thing with all the politicians. You need to, what I'm looking at is the average level of every politician. No matter what you do, don't create a precedent, especially in politics, especially in the use of the organs of government. That one for me is very important, because whatever infrastructure you're putting on ground, as long as it will keep sending out that good news about who you are and all of that, it's great. But don't create a platform where people will start trading upon and they will start messing up the system, against the democracy. Democracy needs to be progressive. You understand? That's just my standpoint.
All right, let's go wrap it up. If you have the same standpoint, let's interact. If you totally disagree with my colleague,